Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. A couple of years ago, we spoke to Ava Chandler-Matthews, one of the two founders of Ultra Violette, a fast-growing Australian skincare company. It was founded in 2019 and just took off, really, largely by focusing on a product that so many others had ignored: sunscreen. Ultra Violette has already taken over Britain, more or less, and it now is expanding into more than 400 stores across Europe. I thought we should check in and see how the business has changed in the last couple of years. Bec Jefferd is the co-founder of Ultra Violette Skincare, the other half to Ava Chandler-Matthews. Is that fair to say that, Bec?
That's fair, Sean, yes.
Fair enough. Welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thank you for having me.
So we spoke to Ava in the middle of 2020 or August 2020. The business was just over 1 year old and plenty of big plans. You've sort of taken off since then. You seem to be thriving. What's happened?
Well, I'm definitely still on the journey to kind of get things moving from an export point of view, but I guess we have had a really great 18 months. So we started by testing whether the Brits actually would wear sunscreen every day, although we prefer to call it skin screen, which is more about skincare plus sunscreen. So we launched into the UK about 2 years ago now, 2021, and lo and behold, they do actually get that message that skin screen is a really important part of an everyday routine. So that gave us some real confidence to look where else in the world our products could be sold. So sunscreen's hard to have a global formulation because the regulations in different countries are very different. But our formulations use more modern actives that are compliant all across Europe. So we looked across one of the ponds from the UK and Europe was there really willing and able to take our products. So that's where we focused our attention next.
Okay. Now, when you were telling that story, I suddenly thought probably not everyone is like an Australian. We are so aware of sunscreen and the need for sunscreen, and certainly my kids' generation wear it all the time. Is that not the case in England?
No, and you think back to the slip, slop, slap campaigns that we all grew up with, that really did a good job for teaching us how important sunscreen was. I guess where that fell down, it kind of implied you just needed to do it when you went to the beach. But what modern dermatology would also tell you is that it's a really important ingredient for protecting your skin, not just from cancer, from the sun, but from melasma, from all kinds of different damage and also degradation of the collagen in the skin. So therefore that causes wrinkles. And no, not every market has had a slip, slop, slap campaign like we had. And that is really, we're up against that in other markets from an education point of view to make sure we can first explain why a sunscreen is important and then why a skin screen is a better option.
And what about Europe? So we were just talking about the UK then, the education needed there. Is it the same in Europe?
Oh, I think they're even more behind, quite honestly, in terms of understanding the protection benefits of SPF. So again, we've got a really big job ahead of us to get the wide down pat first, and then really shifting them into why ultraviolet from there.
Okay, so tell us about how you are marketing your products in the UK and Europe. Is it a social media campaign?
Social media is definitely one platform that we rely on, and that's really to get a positive message out to a younger target audience, which is who we go after for Ultraviolet. And we want our brand to be fun, engaging, informative, and not any fear-mongering around, dangerous impacts of the sun, and also to be, a friendly, trusted voice that you could turn to every day. So social media is a really obvious choice, but we work with some amazing retail partners. So in the UK, we have Harrods, Liberty, Space NK, just to name a couple. And those retailers also do a great job in talking to their own customers. And we've found some really positive marketing campaigns we can run through our retailers to get directly to the customers. So I'd say we augment our social media with a lot of retail-based communications.
Stay with me, Bec. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Bec Jefferd, co-founder of Ultra Violette. What about the whole line which many people have? I mean, they all want to go brown. They like even it means a sunburn first, and then you put enough moisturiser on your skin will turn some vague shade of brown or non-white at least. That seems to be prevalent everywhere. Is that something you're running into?
It's interesting, particularly I'd say here in Australia, again, we really are more aware of the damage of the sun, but any kind of browning and definitely burning is actually skin cells in trauma. So when you think of it like that, it kind of diminishes the positive effects that you might feel by having a bit of a tan. And we're seeing here in particular people moving to a safe tan. So that's either fake tan or bronzing powders that wash off. It's definitely not sunbeds, and it's definitely not baking in the sun to get not even a healthy tan. We're really seeing that there is no such thing. So again, that's a message that we really try and impart, not from a point of creating fear, but yes, skin cells in trauma is how it's been described in the dermatological community. And that's something that we have really listened to. And we just try and make sure that people can find a product that's right for them to use every day to give them that protection through ultraviolet.
What about the US? Presumably that's a huge market. And then Asia, of course, which is even bigger markets.
Yeah, we're in 5 different countries across Southeast Asia. So we launched there at the end of last year in over 40 stores, and they really get the SPF message. They're very good at protecting their skins. So again, just trying to overlay a cultural lens to how we go to market. So Southeast Asia is great, still coming up, up to speed with ultraviolet, but we've got some really great distribution there. In terms of the US, it really is the beauty behemoth when you talk anything in the beauty space and obviously a lot of the consumer and personal care space. You can't talk about a global expansion plan without the US coming into consideration. So look, we're taking it very, very carefully. The US has some very different laws about what ingredients are allowed to be used in sunscreens, and they haven't modernised that list of sunscreens in quite some time. So we find that with more modern formulations like ours, the US isn't quite ready for those yet from the FDA. It's their regulatory body hasn't approved them. So we're taking our time with the US. We're definitely looking at when those changes are coming in, and we expect that they will, and being really ready to launch when they do.
So what's the plan for ultraviolet then in 5 years, 10 years?
Well, we built Ultraviolet to be a global brand, and we really think the heritage story of a skin screen originating from Australia, where it's the toughest place in the world to get a sunscreen approved, and overlaying with that our backgrounds that Ava and I both have in the beauty industry, where we think we know what good looks like in terms of something we actually want to slap on our faces every day. We think those two things come together really nicely to build a global brand. So we've got 20 countries we're in now after 4 years. We've got some really big plans, and we're slowly building the team, the brand, and the working capital to support that. And we've got really big visions for where we want to take this brand.
Now, you did work with Ava for a beauty organisation from memory. Weren't you from BP originally though?
Oh, yeah. I've got a background in the oil industry, which has got nothing to do with beauty.
So what were you doing in the oil industry?
Oh, I was a plucky graduate, and I wanted a job in a big multinational firm that did cool advertising. And that was back in the day when BP used to do great big ads. So I was kind of a wide-eyed uni student thinking that would be a great career. And look, to be honest, it was. I spent 9 years there and I met my husband and I met my best friends at that organisation. So there's a lot to be said for taking a different path.
And so then how did you go to how did you jump into the beauty products where you met Ava, and then just very briefly recap the story of why you started Ultraviolet?
So I spent 9 years at BP, and then I jumped out and joined L'Oreal. I was living in New York at the time, and I thought L'Oreal would be a fun place to work, and I realised it was, and the beauty industry was really for me. So coming back to Australia after 10 years living abroad, we then joined Mecca. So Ava and I both met working at Mecca Brands, where we looked after their private label product development and brand development. So it was while we were there that we really had a great vantage point to what was going on in the prestige beauty space. And over, margaritas one night, we came up with an idea about tackling sun in a new and fresh way that we hadn't seen done in that prestige beauty landscape. And Ultraviolet came out of that.
Do you ever miss not working for a corporate?
No.
Right. I thought there might be something, yes, I missed the support or the HR or something, but no.
Do you know what? I'm grateful for that background because I think it really taught me how to do things properly. And, I hope we've brought that spirit of doing things properly, but in a more entrepreneurial and nimble way to Ultra Violette. So I definitely am grateful for that background. But no, I don't miss the hierarchy and the other things that come with being corporate. I love having a small business.
Fantastic. Bec, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
No problem.
That was Bec Jefferd, co-founder of Ultra Violette. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.